Namaste, angels. I'm very coincidentally beginning our weekly general reading at 11:19 p.m. on Saturday, November 4th, the day that the full moon arrived. So that happened this morning at 1:23. Soon it will have been here for a full 24 hours. I'm catching it while it's still very much fresh. Okay, so a lot this week again. I feel like I've been saying that like every week for the past several months. There's been so much going on at once. Kind of makes me miss the dailies, and I know some of you miss the dailies too. They'll be back. They'll be back. I got to figure out how to manage some time a little bit better. Because I got to see, for example, when we had those storms and they affected not the divine light cleanses, but the letters that I write, the feedback that I give, in that I was so caught up with my family, I think understandably so I'm not apologizing for that, but I was so caught up with that I held back. I refrained from doing the letters, both for myself and for the recipients of the cleanses, because I just, just in case in that moment I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be connecting with angels on their behalf and asking what they want me to share and stuff like that while I've got all this other stuff going on in my personal life. So I refrained from it for both of us. But it has caused me, continued delay ever since and back up ever since. So to avoid stuff like that, I got to figure out how to manage a few things a little bit better, and then we'll be back. If I can study for the CPA or to, finish my accounting degree and do a daily every day and do specials and do weeklies, I can do, this. We did that last year. Accomplished all that last year. So I can do it again. I just got to figure some things out. All right. So anyway, this week, the reading is for Sunday, November 5th through Saturday, November 11th. November 11th in itself is several things, at least two that I remember I was going to talk about this week. Armistice Day, which is a worldwide recognized, I won't call it a holiday, but a day that's recognized all over the world because it is recognizing the soldiers that fought in World War I, basically. It is also here in the United States, Veterans Day and Remembrance Day. It was Remembrance Day in Canada last week on Friday. So that may have been at least one of the reasons why I was to read, or actually not read, that was from memory, recite Flanders Field, the poem Flanders Field. I think that's the name. I'm not even sure if that's the name. When I tell you I know this poem like the back of my hand, I don't know who wrote it. It might be In Flanders Field, maybe the proper title, not just Flanders Field. I'm not even sure. I don't know from where I learned it. I don't know why, but I know it. I don't even remember how I discovered that I knew it, but I know it. Anyway, so that may have been, it may have been for this week too, for Armistice Day, for Veterans Day, for Remembrance Day here, but it may have been at least in part for Remembrance Day in Canada last Friday. All right, so what else? Catholic or Christian feast days, days that are recognized this week. I think the only one for us would be on the 7th, Mary, Mother and Mediatrix of Grace. There are other days that are recognized. The 9th was the dedication of the Lateran Basilica. The 10th, St. Leo the Great, Pope and Doctor. And the 11th, St. Martin of Tours, Bishop. The 9th is also an Islamic holiday or day that's recognized, a Muslim holiday. A really big one, actually. It is a day where there's like a huge pilgrimage. I think it's the largest public pilgrimage, at least annual one. The Arbaeen pilgrimage. I think it is. I could have looked that up, but what I prepared to go over was Arbaeen itself, and the Arbaeen pilgrimage would be a separate event. Maybe I'll go over that too. That's the 9th. And again, it may be the largest public pilgrimage and get together, annual one at least. And it's recognized by some Christians too. It's an Islamic, I guess, because it's from quote unquote Middle Eastern countries, and primarily Iraq. So that may be why it's associated with Muslims or Islam, or I'm associating it with Muslims and Islam. But there are Christians who participate as well. And then the different sects of Muslims. So there's like Shia, Sunnis. Okay, so I'll go over that. That's the 9th. The 10th and 11th, I just said what those were. And there's nothing on the Hebrew calendar. We confirmed that last week. Okay. So I apologize. There's just so much. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, I didn't mention Black Solidarity Day. I knew that I was missing something. So that's also on the 7th, the same day that Mary is celebrated. I think something else was the 7th too. I think I'm still forgetting something. But it's definitely these two things. Well, this may be it. It's Election Day in the United States. And Black Solidarity Day I mentioned last week because I was thinking it was the 2nd and I was going to go over it. And then I kind of remembered, I'm like, but I think it's a different day every year. And sure enough, this part is weird though, because when I looked up to see when it was, not only was that correct, that it's a different day every year, but it said that it's a Monday. It said that it was celebrated, or that it celebrated the Monday before Election Day. But Tuesday, the 7th, is Election Day. So I'm confused as to why it's falling on that date, but it is. All right. What are we going to do first? Let's do Mary first, because I'm going to make that quick. And it falls first. I don't have to explain what Election Day is. I hope we all know what that is. And this year, it will be an election primarily fulfilling like congressional seats, Senate seats, what they call the midterms. So obviously not a presidential election. All right. Mediatrix of all graces. That's Mary. This is from Wikipedia. It's a title that Roman Catholics give to the Blessed Virgin Mary as the Mother of God. It includes the understanding that she mediates the divine grace. In a papal encyclical of September 8th in the year 1894 equals 13 or 4 or 11, and is of course a number associated with the Blessed Mother in any vibration. Pope Leo the 13th as well states the following: the recourse we have to Mary in prayer follows upon the office she continuously fills by the side of the throne of God as the mediatrix of divine grace. Pope Leo the 13th. Lacunda semper expectione. That's the name of, I guess, the document in which he wrote this. The Second Vatican Council referred in its document Lumen Gentium, that's funny, lumen means light, right? Lumen. They wrote this to Mary. They called her advocate and auxiliary, adjunctrix, and mediatrix. So it's sort of like God's right hand, basically. Proposal for dogmatic definition. The formal definition of mediatrix of all graces as a dogma was not considered opportune during discussions held to prepare the Second Vatican Council. In 1896, French Jesuit priest René Marie de la Brosse interpreted Pope Leo XIII's papal encyclical as a teaching that all graces from Jesus Christ are imparted through Mary. So again, she's like the right hand man, but she's a woman. And so that's why this day of recognition for her was proposed. And this page goes on to explain how it's celebrated in Belgium and the Philippines and other places all over the world. And if you want to read up on that, I suggest you do. Again, this is from Wikipedia, but I'm sure there's plenty of other sites from which you could learn about this. Armistice Day. Armistice Day is commemorated every year on the 11th of November to mark the armistice signed between the Allies of World War I and Germany, also Copenhagen and France, for the cessation of hostilities on the Western Front of World War I, which took effect at 11 o'clock in the morning, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918, which equals 19. The date was declared a national holiday in many Allied nations and coincides with Remembrance Day and Veterans Day as public holidays. So this is basically like, again, 1119, the equivalent, with it being November of the year 1918, which equals 19. Maybe that's why I started the reading at 1119. I promise you it wasn't intentional. It was quote unquote coincidence. And there's plenty more to read up on Armistice Day. I'll do a little bit. The first Armistice Day was held at Buckingham Palace, commencing with King George V hosting a banquet in honor of the President of the French Republic during the evening hours of the 10th of November in the year 1919, which equals 11. 1919 equals 11. So that's like another 1111. The first official Armistice Day events were subsequently held in the grounds of Buckingham Palace on the morning of the 11th of November in the year 1919. So 11, 11, 11. This would set the trend for a day of remembrance for decades to come. In 1919, South African Sir Percy Fitzpatrick proposed a 2-minute silence to Lord Milner. This had been a daily practice in Cape Town from April 1918 onward, since being proposed by Sir Harry Hands, and within weeks, it had spread through the British Commonwealth after a Reuters correspondent cabled a description of the daily ritual to London. People observe a 1 or more, commonly a 2-minute moment of silence at 11 a.m. local time. It is a sign of respect for, in the first minute, the roughly 20 million people who died in the war, and in the second minute, dedicated to the living left behind. I'm getting chills all over. Generally understood to be wives, children, and families left behind, but deeply affected by the conflict. Similar ceremonies developed in other countries during the interwar period. In South Africa, for example, are the memorable Order of Tin Hats. And this was had by the late 1920s. It had been developed as a ceremony whereby the toast of fallen comrades was observed not only in silence, but darkness, all except for the light of remembrance. And I just heard Charge of the Light Brigade, and now I'm getting specifically in my legs and my left arm the chills. It does not say Charge of the Light Brigade here. I just heard it. Where was I? So everything is dark with the exception of the light of remembrance. And there's a ceremony ending with the order's anthem, in quotes, "Old soldiers never die." In Australia, the South Australian state branch of the Returned Soldiers and Soldiers Imperial League of Australia developed during the interwar period a simple ceremony of silence for departed comrades. This happens at 9 p.m., presumably to coincide with the traditional 11 a.m. time for armistice ceremonies taking place in Europe due to the 10-hour time difference between Eastern Australia and Europe. So theirs is at 9 p.m. while Europe is 11 a.m. There's your 9/11 reference for this one. Veterans in New Zealand have used silence to pay homage to departed comrades in general at veterans functions as the toast of, quote, fallen or absent comrades, end quote. In Britain, beginning in 1939, or 40, or 4, 11, the 2-minute silence was moved to the Sunday nearest the 11th of November in order to not interfere with wartime production should November 11th fall on a weekday. After the end of World War II, most member states of the Commonwealth nations, like the United Kingdom, and in parentheses they have as Canada in 1931, moved most Armistice Day events to the nearest Sunday and officially began to commemorate both world wars, like on one day. They adopted the name Remembrance Day or Remembrance Sunday. Other countries also changed the name of the holiday just prior to or after World War II to honor veterans of that and subsequent conflicts. The United States chose All Veterans Day, later shortened to just Veterans Day, to explicitly honor military veterans, including those participating in other conflicts. And if you want to read more about that, it does go on to explain the different ways it's recognized in different countries all over the world. I'm going to move on to Veterans Day, which is an official United States public holiday observed annually on November 11th that honors military veterans, that is, persons who served in the United States Armed Forces. It coincides with other holidays, including Armistice Day and Remembrance Day, and is celebrated in other countries that mark the anniversary of the end of World War I. Major hostilities of World War I were formally ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, when the armistice with Germany went into effect. The United States previously observed Armistice Day. The United States holiday was renamed Veterans Day in 1954. Veterans Day is not to be confused with Memorial Day, a United States public holiday in May. Veterans Day celebrates the service of all United States military veterans, while Memorial Day honors those who died while in military service. It is also not to be confused with Armed Forces Day, a minor U.S. remembrance that also occurs in May, which specifically honors those currently serving in the United States military. And you can go on to read about the history of Veterans Day and how it's observed around the country as well on this page, and I'm sure many other places. Black Solidarity Day, which I probably should have done after I did Mary, because I'm out of date order now. But in any case, Black Solidarity Day is an African-American holiday. It was founded in 1969 in Brooklyn by Dr. Carlos E. Russell. As a concept, it derives from the play entitled Day of Absence by Douglas Turner Ward. The day is based on the extreme social, political, and economic consequences that would ensue if all Black people were to disappear for one day. So there were similar protests around the country involving people that were not yet citizens, or people who had become citizens here in the United States but were from other lands, as you know, to demonstrate how important immigration is. So when there was a lot of closer to election day last year, when Donald Trump was elected our president here in the United States, and he began to implement bans on immigration, these protests were conducted. In observation annually, on the Monday before Election Day, we wear black in solidarity and either simply remain silent on this day or wear tape over our mouths to symbolically represent the silence. We will be tabling at lunch with black tape, so they sit around and they don't speak. And the tabling at lunch, at a lunch table, is how it is celebrated at Wells College, actually, because that's from where I'm reading. www.wells.edu as to what Black Solidarity Day is. When I was in high school, it was like a day that we would cut that was like permissible, and just to show, I guess, this, what the adults were doing, something similar to what the adults were doing, a similar protest. There were no black kids in school, and how noticeable that was. Arba'in. It is also called the 40th of Imam, and it's a Shia Muslim religious observance that occurs 40 days after the day of Ashura. It commemorates martyrdom, and specifically the martyrdom of the grandson of Muhammad, Hussein ibn Ali, who was killed on the 10th day of the month. He and 72 companions were killed by Yazid I's, or the first, I guess, army, in the Battle of Karbala in the year 680. Writing in 40 batches has become a tradition among Islamic scholars. The reason is the famous saying of Muhammad, and this is a quote: "On the day of judgment among my people, God will consider whomever memorized 40 hadiths as an erudite man," so like a righteous man. In this regard, numerous Islamic scholars have gathered precious collections that each consists of 40 sayings, hadiths quoted from the Prophet and the following Imams. According to Al-Jazini, the primary martyr, he too has written his book, Al-Arbar, to practice this narrative of the Prophet. Arba'in, or 40 days, is also the usual length of mourning after the death of a family member or loved one in many Muslim traditions. Arba'in is one of the largest pilgrimage gatherings on earth, in which up to 45 million people go to the city of Karbala in Iraq. So yeah, I will tell you quickly about the pilgrimage, and then we'll move on to what's going on in the sky this week. The Arba'in pilgrimage is the world's largest public gathering that is held every year. It's held at the end of the 40-day mourning period following Ashura, the religious ritual for the commemoration of the Prophet Muhammad's grandson Hussein ibn Ali's death in the year 680. Arba'in marks a pivotal event in history in which the pilgrims make their journey to Karbala on foot, where Hussein ibn Ali, the third Imam of Shia, and his army were killed and beheaded by the army of Yazid I. Some of the pilgrims make their journey from cities as far as Basra, about 500 kilometers away by road. And it goes on to tell the background and an analysis by someone, and other places where this is recognized around the world, the UK, Nigeria. It says UK, US, and Nigeria are countries where the most people come, to participate. Also Ghana, Chad, Cameroon, Benin, Togo. It just goes on. So if you want to read more about this, you can. We're all free to do whatever we want to do. All right. So the astrology this week. Also on this, I knew there was something else on the 7th. Okay. So the 7th is Black Solidarity Day. It is Election Day of the United States. It is a celebration of Mary, where she's recognized as the mediatrix of all graces. And it is also the day that Venus enters Scorpio. And that's it, I think, as far as the astrology this week, falling into that reading. Well, on the 5th, Mercury enters Sagittarius. There'll be more next week. Because speaking of Mercury, next week, I think it enters shadow for retrograde. Ugh. So yeah, let's move on. Get through this as quickly as possible. The sky this week from astronomy.com, beginning Sunday, November 5th. For those areas of the United States and Canada that observe daylight savings time, set your clocks back 1 hour this morning. The official switch occurs at 2 a.m. local daylight time, which becomes 1 a.m. local standard time. The switch means sunrise and sunset both arrive an hour earlier today than they did yesterday. So at least by clock time, the latest sunrise of the year occurred yesterday morning. Observers in Eastern and Central North America are in for a surprise shortly after the moon rises. Although the waning gibbous moon lies among the background stars of Taurus, the bull, that constellation's brightest star will be absent because Luna is blocking first magnitude Aldebaran from view. Observers should target the moon's dark limb, though, through their telescopes and try to view the star when it suddenly reappears. The moon reaches perigee, the closest point in its orbit around Earth, at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It then lies 224,587 miles away from us. Monday, November 6th. The days of viewing Saturn in the evening sky are dwindling rapidly. You can find the ringed world near 15 degrees high in the southwest an hour after sunset. The planet shines at a magnitude of 0.5, some 4 times brighter than any of the background stars in its host constellation. The Serpent Bearer, of course, the best views of Saturn. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, the background stars in its host constellation, comma, the Serpent Bearer. I missed the comma. Okay. Of course, the best views of Saturn come through a telescope, which reveals a 15-inch diameter globe surrounded by a spectacular ring system that spans 35 inches and tilts 27 degrees to our line of sight. Tuesday, November 7th, the variable star Algol in Perseus reaches minimum brightness around 10:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it shines at a magnitude of 3.4. If you start tracking it this evening, you can watch it more than triple in brightness to magnitude 2.1 by dawn. This eclipsing binary star runs through a cycle from minimum to maximum and then back every 2.87 days. Algol remains visible all night, passing nearly overhead around midnight local time. Wednesday, November 8th. I hear like Raphael, but like he's distant. Maybe he's approaching. Wednesday, November 8th. As if the earlier sunsets this week don't put you in a mind of winter, the mid-evening appearance of the season's most conspicuous constellation surely will. Orion the Hunter rises in the eastern sky around 9 p.m. This may be a reason why I was guided to pull out Isis's deck. And I haven't even decided what I was going to use it for yet. But reading or writing Orion the Hunter rises. Look with what I'm starting. Healing. Oh boy. Healing. I guess I was supposed to see the mother of life too. Healing the divine masculine. Osiris arises. So he too is rising, not just Orion. Look for 3 2 magnitude stars in a line that form the Hunter's belt. The constellation's brightest stars are ruddy, and here's that Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, and the blue-white Regal, Rigel. Thursday, November 9th. Mars stands out in the eastern sky before dawn this week. The magnitude 1.8 red planet rises 3 hours before the sun and appears 15 degrees high as twilight starts to paint the sky. It resides among the background stars of Virgo, and this morning it passes 1.8 degrees south of third magnitude Gamma Virginis. Unfortunately, the view through a telescope proves disappointing. Mars spans just 4 inches and shows no detail. Friday, November 10th. Last quarter moon arrives at 3:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It rises in the eastern sky around 11:30 p.m. local time and reaches its peak in the south around sunrise tomorrow morning, by which time it appears slightly less than half lit. Throughout this period, our satellite resides among the background stars of Western Leo, the Lion. And Saturday, November 11th, although Jupiter passed on the far side of the sun from our perspective in late October, it already is climbing into view before dawn. To find it, head outside about a half hour before sunrise and locate dazzling Venus. This morning, Jupiter appears 1 degree directly below its sibling. The gas giant planet shines some 2 magnitudes fainter than Venus, but still stands out through binoculars against the bright twilight. 2 mornings from now, these planets pass 0.3 degrees of each other. 0.3. So that's like a third of a point. They pass 0.3 degrees of each other in the finest planetary conjunction of 2017. That's also on the 11th. So all this stuff going on the 11th. And I thought something might be happening with Jupiter because this Osiris keeps facing me. When I find him with his back turned to me, Jupiter's usually in opposition. So he's facing me, and I was saying, I wonder if there's some sort of confrontation or conjunction coming up. And I didn't look it up, but here it is right here, Jupiter and Venus. So that explains that. Sunday, we have Jupiter and Venus, and we have Venus in Scorpio. So that's like the same thing, since Scorpio is also Osiris. It's like an 11-11 of the two of them. Okay, Sunday, November 12th, a lone bright star now hangs in the south during the early evening. First magnitude Fomalhaut, often called the solitary one, belongs to the constellation Pisces, the southern fish. From mid-northern latitudes, it climbs 20 degrees above the horizon at its best. How solitary is Fomalhaut? The nearest first magnitude star to it, Achernar, at the southern end of Eridanus, the river, lies some 40 degrees away. All right, and that's that for the week. So let's get to this. I think what I'm going to do is use these first, and I'm going to do my crossbread with them. Yeah, I don't know why. That just came to me just now. So again, I'm beginning with Healing the Divine Masculine, Osiris Rises. And this card is not just about the divine masculine, although it absolutely is about him, but it's not just about him. It is also about each and every one of us, our inner masculine being healed. This also may be a time when we are to heal relationships with a masculine energy in our life. Again, not necessarily the divine masculine, but he included. And it is also a time when I pull this card, when I do find that Osiris does indeed rise. I remember one day he woke me up. This is over a year ago. He woke me up really early in the morning, and he said, I made my energetic rise this morning. I didn't know what that meant or what it was about. And I came to understand, to be able to tell like the difference in the energy around us, or at least around me, when he is risen and when he is like below the surface. Now, some people who attempt to tell his story will describe him as the Lord of the Dead. But for me, and the way that he's described himself to me, he is the God of the living and the dead. That means of everything and everyone. And that's how I came to understand that sometimes he's above and sometimes he's below. And he is definitely like the God of death and rebirth, which makes sense since considering he's a Scorpio. He's constantly going into solitude and then rising again to join the rest of us. All right, and opening to divine destiny. Path of the divine warrior. Healing the divine masculine. Truths unveiled. The revelation of Isis. So things coming to light. Path of the divine warrior is what it sounds like, right? Making sure that we're continuing upon our divine, toward our divine purpose. Healing the divine masculine back. Power over 7 scorpions. The power to conjure lower vibrational forces. When this card turns up, it's about the fact that if we don't allow ourselves to be pulled down, toward a lower vibration, if we don't allow other entities, lower vibrational entities, to sort of corrupt our vibration and tug us down, we instead can lift them up, at least to the extent that we're able to work with and or around them to still get what we have to get done without like losing our integrity, basically. Healing the divine masculine, Osiris rises. I'm going to cut. High Priestess. Mysteries revealed in the eyes of Isis. Overall energy is pyramid of light. Step your vibration deeper into love. When this card shows up, it's guiding us to, yes, do exactly this, to step our vibration deeper into love. Love, if we think love, do love, we are love, right? Just be love. That will help to raise our vibration. But it's calling us to and guiding us to heal our vibration, to heal our energy. And that also will allow for ascension, for our vibration to be raised, basically. And we can do that in part through love. We can heal our own vibration through love if we are truly able to step into that that power and just like be love. So this will represent the divine being, the recent past, near future, specifically the divine masculine's higher self, blocks, what a divine feminine can do to help herself or the situation, divine masculine, further advice from the universe to either or both, and the outcome. Divine beings, key of life, spinning the Ankh, the key of life. So this is coming through as also being, at least in part for us, about death and rebirth as well, and letting go of old energy, healing our present energy so that we can be uplifted and upgraded to new, stronger, higher energy. The recent past, the brother in the darkness, overcoming negative energy with feminine power. Now, what kind of feminine power? Given the day that I'm doing this reading, we just had the full moon today. My first thought is that feminine power and energy of surrender. We're better at it, whether we can admit it or understand it, because we also can acknowledge the fact that we can be the more anxious too. We are better at the surrender and allowing ourselves to finally be vulnerable, even if we at first put up a fight. And so this card is about the masculine having had to embrace feminine power and feminine energy, his own inner feminine, and maybe, drawing upon that of those that surround him and love him, to be strengthened and to rid himself of negative and toxic energy and or circumstances or people, relationships in his life. The near future. Eye of Horus, awakening divine perception. So this is, again, that ascension. When we step up our vibration, this is the third eye opening, even further. That pineal gland being activated. For some of us, we don't even, it's like so calcified, we can't even use that gift. This is about it being opened up and awakened. Near future. Masculine's higher self. Oh, see, I told you. This is about the divine masculine, as led by, the divine masculine of all time, Osiris himself, rising, right? Going through a rebirth right now. Rising sun, the divine solar child reborn. Obstacles, blocks. He needs his energy healed. And we need our inner masculine healed as well, to help with the rise, to form a support and to act as a support and to be our own where it comes to our own lives and our own inner masculine, to be our own backbone and support as well. I really love this spread so far because it started with this and led me into that little story about the death and rebirth, specifically having to do with King Osiris. But it was evident to me then, and I hope I was able to communicate it, because sometimes when these things are coming in, I don't even know what the heck I'm saying. But it was coming to me in that this is what the divine masculine collective we're going to go through, sort of like father, like son, basically, is what I was being shown. And I think it's playing out here in the spread. Okay, so what can the feminine do? Spirit of Isis, triumph of the goddess. Accept, like the leadership role and, lead by example, basically. We got to surrender to teach them how to surrender. We got to heal our energy to teach them how to heal their energy. We've got to be love to show them what love looks like so they can be loved too. What can the masculine do here? Okay, in order to be reborn, he's got to die first. First, the old him has got to be dead and gone in order for the new him to rise. And look how they're here, one atop the other. Here is the death, letting go of the old facade and the old, all of this that was in the darkness before. It's crossing the brother in the darkness. All of that stuff that he no longer needs, that no longer serves him, allowing that to die so that he can be reborn, glorious like this and strong. Look at this Osiris in this picture. This one is handsome too, but look at this one when he's reborn. Such a difference. Now, I'm not necessarily happy that I pulled this card, aside from the fact of how well it connects here, because in general, when I pull this card, when it falls out of my deck, if I see it, it tends to mean, death in real life. And it's around people that like surround the collective. So not like it tends most often to not be our immediate connections, but like friends of the family, cousins, and sometimes aunts and uncles, and definitely celebrities who tend to pass away when I pull this card. But I'm getting a different feeling today, and I hope that it's accurate, because I'm getting a feeling of that I'm really more so, this card was really more so provided to me today, specifically for the reading. Yeah, I'm just getting the feeling that it's really here to make this point, and that it does a very good job of doing. Again, we started out with that this was going to be the overall theme. I began with this card, Osiris Rises. We started here being represented as individual beings with the key of life. So we're talking about death and rebirth. We got to start with life, right? How do we get here? We come from somewhere. We're starting here. But most recently, we had been lost. So like born, but then just wandering, lost in the darkness, full of negativity. Not being loved promotes the growth and the continued, rise and elevation and ascension. Horus steps in with awakening perception. He's going to show you how to step into the light and out of the darkness. Isis is here to cheer you on, right? Spirit of Isis. She's your cheerleader. It works. The masculine's higher self does step into a place of, I am the rising sun, the divine solar child reborn. So naturally, what's next? What has to be done is death of the old, this brother that was in the darkness. We're letting him go. We're releasing him and rising glorious as the divine masculine here. Further advice from the universe. Cartouche, divine names in power. So this is taking on, like I said last week, when I brought up about my ringtone. I forget what cards I was going over, but I said like he has to acknowledge in the song Miss Independent, when Neo says, she's made for a boss, only a boss. That's his acknowledgement that he himself is a boss. He's answering that name of power. If he's going after this woman and knows that she will only deal with a boss, the fact that he's stating that so confidently means that he himself knows that he has a chance because he is in fact the boss. That's what's going on here too, right? Divine names of power and stepping into your title. I am a king. I'm divine. I'm a divine being. I'm the boss. And the outcome. Past life, present power. So like we learn, we grow from the past events, even the pain. Sometimes because of the pain, right? The most painful, we can learn the most from in order to manifest present power. Because when you know better, you do better, right? You are better. The many spiritual faces of you. This is the outcome. Wow. That took me on like a, I don't know, like a whirlwind. Okay, a roller coaster. Now, also coincidentally, my two tarot decks, the Angel Tarot and the Animal Tarot, beginning with the King of Earth in both. I guess that's for the Taurus full moon today. So I'm going to start with the Angel Tarot. The King of Earth is generous, professional, responsible, and practical. A successful time. Confidently accept opportunities you're offered. You have the Midas touch. An opening to the moon. Oh, how awesome is that? There's the Taurus moon right there. Important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back. So we're guided to, even when we don't know what's going on, because that's what the moon can mean. It can be that darkness, the brother in the darkness, not just the brother, the sister too. We're all in the dark. The universe wants it that way. When they want to shine light on it, they will illuminate it, right? With a pillar of light. They'll send Isis in, or, you know, some other divine being to illuminate the situation and fill us in on what's going on. Until then, we're to have faith and the confidence in ourselves and the strength to go ahead and release the fears anyway, even though we don't know everything that's happening. King of Earth. King of Earth, by the way, is a Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo, or somebody taking on those traits or attributes. Now I've opened to the Nine of Water. Your wish comes true. Concerns fade away of a love of life. The Nine of Water is a big resounding yes from the Minor Arcana. It's, you know, prayers answered, wishes granted. King of Earth, this might be for what we were wishing, you know, for things to start going our way by way of abundance, whether it's financial, material, or love, or a combination of those, or all the above. And I've opened to a card similar to that. This is something that fulfills you at an emotional level, makes you really happy, you know, and just positive. And it can be financial, material, love, or a combination of those two. Falling in love, or the resurgence of a relationship. Yeah, the Ace of Water can always definitely be about reconciliation as well. Spiritual growth, which we just witnessed, is definitely happening this week for many, particularly among the divine masculine and the feminine's inner masculine. Spiritual growth and enhanced intuition also, which the moon just reminded us of as well. And Isis said she was raising our vibration. So we're to pay attention to that intuition. Some of us may even be getting a new home, a new relationship, a new job, you know, things that will emotionally fulfill you. And with the Ace of Water opposite the King of Earth, it can certainly be something material or, you know, love, or again, a combination of those. King of Earth, I'll go one more. The Ten of Water, a contented and rewarding family life. Your emotional and material needs are met. See, even a combination of those, like I've been saying. Trustworthy relationships you can also count on when you see the Ten of Water. Particularly when it's opposite the King of Earth. Because that's kind of like, you know, no worries. We're just feeling good and enjoying each other and, you know, being love. Feeling love, sharing love, exchanging love. King of Earth. I'm going to cut. And it's the Three of Water. I mean, we got something to celebrate, right? We're all happy and fulfilled. A celebration, a wedding, a graduation, or a birth announcement. Maybe even the need to have more fun. This is interesting. The overall energy is ego, or the devil, a false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, negative or fear-based thoughts. Masculine, the Ten of Earth, very nice. A happy family life, financial security, finding magic in the little things in life. This is counting your blessings, being really, really appreciative, thanking the universe for, you know, its many blessings upon you. You're surrounded by the magician, so you're also quite aware that you can manifest whatever it is you need. You've been empowered to do that. Your vibration has been stepped up. You are ready. You have the resources or the ability to manifest them. Life is magical. Ones are about they're little messages from the universe when you see these ones saying, you know, listen, your thoughts are becoming your reality. And you got two ones, one atop the other here, essentially, with a 10. The 10 is just a 1 followed by a 0, which means God force or even cipher, if you're going with supreme math. And be careful about anybody that wants to, or any energy, not just necessarily a person, that would want to steal your joy because you've got all this wonderful stuff going for you. The 7 of air shows up in your subconscious, but in this position, it can just be in your mind. You could be paranoid. You could be lacking confidence again. Or you could be feeling that somebody is like out to get you, distrustful as it relates to romantic relationships. So, certainly it can be about trust issues. That may be one of the fears that's been holding you back. Plans that need revision. More going on than meets the eye. Poor timing. Feminine, very nice. The 2 of fire. You've come into your own. New partnerships or contracts. Continue to move forward. This is the general reading. So these can be business partnerships. These can be friends. These can be romantic. The 2 of fire, of course, is the quote unquote twin flame or divine union card of the tarot as well. And opposite the 10 of earth, I just think it's, you know, being very, very happy and fulfilled. Feminine is surrounded, however, by the 2 of air. So the masculine's got all the 1s and we got a bunch of 2s. 2s are about partnership, duality, and faith. The need for faith. And here it's about the need to make a decision, or we might be, in some cases, waiting on, you know, the answer decision. Maybe that's what the masculine's got the 7 of air in his head about. Maybe he's tossing things around. Being unable or unwilling to make a decision, a stalemate, pretending there's no problem. And in the feminine subconscious, life experience, or the tower with Archangel Chamuel, a significant life event, a powerful revelation that leads to change. It's time to spread your wings. This can be something that's in our mind as well in this position. We could be paranoid about it. Maybe we're waiting again on a decision and we're, you know, thinking it's going to shake us, break us. Or this tower can be connected to the fact that, you know, all of a sudden we've got a partnership going, whether it's a romantic relationship, a newfound, really good, you know, platonic friendship, or a business situation. You know, that has shaken us up. We could be moving into a home or into a physical building, an office or something with the tower here and the 2 of fire crowning. Or there can be a need to decide on whether or not we're going to do that. Do I move in with him and create a happy family here, or not? Crowning. The Page of Water. So there's been an offer of love in some form. The Page of Water is intuitive, sensitive, artistic, and friendly. And to me, a Pisces, but can also be a Scorpio, a Cancer, or anybody taking on those traits or attributes, and certainly be somebody of any zodiac sign making an offer of love. A new person enters your life. A relationship begins a new phase. Also heightened psychic abilities. We've seen this a few times in this reading. Definitely guided to pay attention to our intuition and things this week. At the foundation or the root, the Queen of Fire. So at the 2 of fire here, we got the Queen of Fire here. Queen of Fire is, of course, of the 2 of fire, the divine union of the tarot. The Queen of Fire is the quintessential divine feminine, specifically. Confident, warm, intelligent, and graceful is the Queen of Fire. Stretch your wings and fly. Don't underestimate yourself. Assert your independence and creativity. The Queen of Fire, you know, she's passionate, she's graceful, she gets things done. I don't see what needs doing yet, though, unless we connect this to the other spread. And this is coming through sort of like that spirit of Isis, right? Getting things done, cheering the masculine on, helping him to heal, being that support system. That can possibly be. But here in the middle at the root, this can be the masculine too. This can be his feminine power. Remember, he drew on his feminine power. This can be it again. And being a court card, it can be an actual person of the element of fire, a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, who's going to be particularly impactful this week, or somebody of those traits or attributes. At the heart of the matter, it's the Hermit. The Hermit is about our need to like go within and have a talk with ourselves. Spend time in quiet meditation, spiritual teaching, self-discovery. But like when you're doing this spiritual teaching, you are both the professor and the student. You're learning about you, or you're seeking some sort of enlightenment that may come by way of the page of water and these heightened psychic abilities too. These two can be connected. This can be another actual person, a Virgo perhaps, or other earth sign that comes into your life this week and is particularly impactful. Maybe that's who's making the offer of love to you, or into with whom you're entering partnership, or about whom you're making a decision, or from whom you're awaiting a decision, who shakes things up for you. Maybe they're the person who like facilitates the loan for this home or office or whatever that you're going to share with your partner. Let's see if we can get some well, you know what? I'll clarify first, or attempt to clarify first with this deck, because I see the next one is upright. So I think we're meant to use it. Let's take a peek at the Two of Air. Six of Fire. Victory, good news, it's on its way. Public recognition or awards. So feminine, where we're awaiting a decision, the news is going to be good. This pages deliver news, love in some cases. Pages bring news, basically. So that can be what we're waiting here. Decision from maybe specifically a water sign. It is going to be good news. It is going to help us. And it might be, again, something like, did our loan go through or whatever? The next card is upside down. I'll try one more from this deck if I don't have to dig too deep. Let's see. Maybe they didn't want me to. The Seven of Air. Renewal. Review and evaluate. A favorable assessment of the facts. It's time to move in a new direction. So like I said, this can be in the masculine's head, especially in this position. This may not really be, this may be his own trust issues and perhaps of himself. Like he doesn't trust himself. He lacks confidence. He doesn't know what he should do. Renewal comes in to clarify this spot. Renewal represents the planet Pluto for me. And therefore more Scorpio. There's your page of water, more, Scorpion King, Osiris rising, and all of that, to decide, since this is a general reading, maybe not to be so hard on himself and so judgmental against himself. Maybe not to be that way against others. This can be coming through to assure him that he is going to receive, the accolades and financial recognition he's due at work. Maybe that's from where the Ten of Earth comes. Maybe he helps to manifest it by his continued hard work, because when this comes in, renewal or judgment comes in as it relates to work, it tells you that like the boss has a watchful eye on you. The boss can be, the boss in the sky too. It can be the universe, it can be God. But the boss has a watchful eye on you, and it's like, don't slack off now. Make sure you keep pushing. That can be how the Ten of Earth comes through, or why the King of Earth was here before in two decks. And as it relates to love, it can be saying yes, because now we have a two mirroring a two here. Renewal with this couple getting back together, standing, before an angel. And it makes sense that it would be Archangel Jeremiah. He's like the patron of, he governs like past lives and past life issues and things of that nature. We have these twos mirroring one another. So this can be the masculine deciding, do I have the strength to rise and return to the feminine and enter a partnership with her? And the answer is yes. He can manifest that and have the faith, the two. We can have the faith, the two, that it'll all work out. And then we're victorious because we manifest that into our reality. We made this victory a reality by believing it so. All right, so now I'll go on to the other deck. Again, beginning with the King of Autumn. Everything's going to turn out great. Projects will be stunningly successful. Exciting new career opportunities are possible, and money or resources that come your way will be invested wisely. Open to the Four of Autumn. Be cautious about living a life of extremes or seeing things in black and white terms. Consider, for example, whether you're spending too much versus hoarding your wealth, or giving too much emotionally versus building walls to keep people out. So I think that that's what this, that's sort of what was happening here. The masculine needing to come to terms as it relates, where it relates to romantic situations, needing to come to terms with, am I keeping love away from myself because I lack confidence? Am I, being judge and jury here and penalizing us both for, just because I'm afraid? Or is this warranted, and what should I do here? And that may be the decision. Again, the feminine was waiting. There's our other two. But again, it comes out victorious. So this is what the four of autumn comes through to talk about. King of autumn back, and the 5 of winter. Your current path isn't leading you toward the happiest possible outcome. So why not change it? Always maintain integrity and compassion, but be alert to the hidden agendas of others. King of autumn. And it's the tower again. Life experience, life experience. Important changes are coming into your life that will require you to take action. Don't hesitate to move into a new direction. Don't hesitate to move into a new direction is right for you. So again, I think that speaks to situations like this. King of autumn. I'm going to cut. And it's the Prince of Spring. An opportunity arises that needs your immediate attention, your attention right away. Moving quickly is important, yet there's nothing you can't handle if you follow the inner guidance. So again, pay close attention to your intuition. We got another moon here to remind us, to tell us that this is for now, specifically this week. And we should definitely follow the guidance. And then I was moved to open up the deck again, and I opened it to the star. You're about to take a big leap forward with your life. Worry will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. So it's like we manifested joy, basically. The star represents the sign of Aquarius, and can be about communication, particularly electronic communication. It's also similar to the 9 of water that we had here. I said that was a big resounding yes from the minor arcana, where this is a big resounding yes from the major arcana. Prayers answered, wishes granted. And the overall energy is the Hermit. So it's funny, we just saw the Tower and now the Hermit, and they're here crossing one another. Take time for contemplation, to retreat and to go within. Be a beacon for others on the path to spiritual enlightenment.
Obviously, eat those, then you like the most. I won't.
Here atop the 10 of Earth. It's the King of Spring. Now's your moment to step up to a leadership role. Don't back away from the spotlight, as your plans will be successful so long as you stay focused upon the big picture. So this is the divine masculine coming through again and stepping into his power. The King of Spring is, of course, the King of Wands, the King of Fire, the quintessential divine masculine of the tarot. Here atop the Magician, it's the 6 of Summer. There's a moon here. It looks more like a new moon, but it's a moon nonetheless. And the 6 of Summer can be about children. It can also be about past life relationships, soulmate relationships. I think in this deck, it's more so about children. It can be about the divine sun child too. We just talked about that or read about that in the spread prior to this one. The loving care of children could become an important part of your life, or people from your childhood may return. Old memories can be healed, or possibly old childhood dreams are ready to be revived. So this is about making our dreams come true, people from our past coming back into our life. Again, the Six of Summer or Six of Cups can definitely be about soulmate relationships reconciling. Atop Judgment and what began as the Seven of Air and that energy of joy stealing is the World. Congratulations on successfully accomplishing what you've set out to do. You've made it through the challenges and incorporated the lessons life offered you with grace and courage. So just like I said in that other spread, like it's about what ends up at the end after you go through all the lessons and trials, what you're left with, right? And how it makes you a better you. The World comes through to ease us out of situations and challenges and relationships and circumstances that we should have left ourselves, usually involving a third energy. It's kind of like the Tower, right? Which it's mirroring here, except for it's not as abrupt. Like this is being eased out of a situation. The Tower is boom. Whether it's, good or bad, the Tower comes through quickly. Feminine. Atop the Two of Fire, the Eight of Autumn. It's the perfect time to learn all you can by returning to school, taking a seminar, conducting research. Do your best work and the law of attraction will bring you prosperity and career advancement. So for some of us, this is about like we planted the seeds and now we're being rewarded for them in business partnerships. For others of us, this can be a learning partnership. And for some of us, it's still a romantic partnership. And this is what we've earned. We put the work in and we've earned this Two of Fire. And I've mentioned that there's a song that speaks to that. Like I was learning my man, like the hermit, right? Doing the introspection and then getting enlightenment, learning, or earning my man rather, while I was learning my man. And I'm sure it's not a mistake that these cards are crossing here. The 8 is crossing the hermit. Earning my man while I was learning my man. Something you young girls might not understand is how the line goes. And the song is called No Pain, No Gain. And that's actually the next line. So again, going through the pain and the lessons is what makes us in the end, who we are. That past life, present power. That's what I was trying to think of. That's what this is. Here atop what became the Six of Fire and the Victory that sits here atop the Two of Air is Awakening, or the Hanged Man. Represents the sign of Pisces, because Neptune can be that sort of confusing energy. I need to take a step back and look at things again. So that's what that's the connection here. Look at things in a different way, and all will make sense. Don't worry if progress has been halted temporarily. Things will soon get started moving again. So this can be where there's a separation again, and we're waiting maybe for a response or contact, a decision on the part of the divine masculine, let's say, with which things will go well, right? The page is going to deliver us good news. And we just need to expect that. Not in a way where we're putting demands upon the universe or anything, but just in a way of we have faith and we're confident. And we know that, I can look at this in a negative situation and look at it as, separation and, oh, woe is me. Or I can look at it as a learning period. And, with faith and confidence that we're both going to come out of it stronger and, better people and full of even more love. Wow. Okay. Just like last week, the universe is, the angels are playing around again. They're doing this again. Atop the Tower is the Tower. So the feminine's going to be going through a real shakeup this week. But again, let's be positive about it, because we have no reason not to be. What's here? The Two of Wands, the Six of Wands of Fire. the Eight of Autumn, or the Eight of Earth, which is about, you've earned what you're receiving, and it's good. So that's what the Tower is here. It's twice over to say, yeah, you're going to get shaken up, but it's for good. Things might have been stagnant in your work life. You've been trying to get a project together, maybe with a partner, get something going. Things haven't been moving. You've wanted to enter commitment into partnership with your partner. That hasn't been going anywhere. All of a sudden, boom, boom, here you go. Where there's faith and positivity. That's required. Here atop the page of water, the King of Autumn is back. Everything's going to turn out great. Projects will be stunningly successful. Exciting new career opportunities are possible, and money or resources that come your way will be invested wisely. And now this crosses the Six of Fire, or the Victory. Atop the Queen of Fire, it's the Eight of Summer. You feel that there's more to life than what you're living. It's time to move on. You may be moving on from a situation that isn't good for you, or perhaps you're being drawn to what would make you happy. Either way, you're in control. Eight of Summer for me is also similar to the Hermit, very much so about enlightenment, and similar to the Ace of Water too, about enlightenment and spiritual growth and intuition and being enhanced, psychic ability being enhanced. And I don't think in that case it's a mistake that the Page of Water is here and the Eight of Water is here, because they're both about being elevated and ascension. As it relates to past life relationships, maybe soulmate relationships, I think that this is saying, yes, I want to move on from the past and move into the future and go, let's reconcile this with the Six of Summer sitting here atop Judgment, Judgment sitting next to the Eight of Summer. This is all the makings of reconciliation in, the love relationships. And since this is the general reading, other partnerships and relationships as well. The heart of the matter here atop the Hermit, the Seven of Autumn. Seven of Autumn crossing the Eight of Autumn. Here's where we planted the seeds. Here's where we're reaping what we've sown, and we're picking it, we're harvesting it all. The planning, resources, and efforts you've invested in your dream will reap great rewards. In the meantime, have patience and meditate on your next steps. So for some of us, we're reaping this week, we're harvesting. And for others of us, we need a little bit more enlightenment. So we basically got to water ours a little bit longer, but the ours is coming too. Happy ending and outcome for everyone, and enough abundance for everyone too. Speaking of abundance, I want to give us two cards from this deck. I won't shuffle them, but I will tell you with what I'm starting here at the bottom: attracting, not chasing. And I think this is applicable in all forms of abundance too, including love. Anything or anyone you chase after will run the other way because of the fears underlying chasing energy. Instead, attract what you need by sending out love, gratitude, and welcoming energy. So here again is a message of just watching. We have a choice. Do I want to look at this positively? I want to look at it negatively. I didn't realize we'd run into technical difficulties and the camera had stopped. So I've already dealt the advice cards. I'm just going to go on to them now. For the masculine, from the Animal Tarot, the Three of Autumn. Your most satisfying and profitable career comes from following your passions, listening to your heart, and doing what brings you joy. Your life purpose is best fulfilled by allowing your talents and true self to shine forth into the world. The Three of Autumn is very much like Judgment, which the masculine also has here, or renewal in the Angel Tarot. It's about the fact, again, that your boss is keeping a watchful eye on you, and now is not the time to slack off. You are due, you've earned what you're due and what you're getting. And there could be a third energy who's involved in some way in helping that to come true for you, or that could be somebody who doesn't want you to have it, somebody that's there blocking. So you definitely don't slack off. And as it relates to love, same thing. Like you put in the work, you get what you earn it. Like the Weekend song, right? Earned it. Okay. Feminine. From the Animal Tarot for us. 9 of Winter. Oh boy. Well, here's another moon. On a positive note, here's another moon. Your worries and fears aren't real. They're fueled by focusing on the negative. So that's what I was talking about here. So we get to make a choice. I think I've talked about it a few times, right? We get to make a choice. Are we going to manifest positivity or negativity into our life? That's the question. That's the choice. And it's up to us, you know? But when you focus on the negative, you give power to that which you're afraid of. So, you know, you don't want to do that. You don't want to empower your fears. Stop worrying, let go of fear, and everything will be okay. Our thoughts become our reality. If you're thinking about negative things, that can, you know, very easily become your reality. Masculine, the 9 of Water, very nice. So we've seen this card twice in this reading, and then also from the Major Arcana, the Star. So wishes granted, prayers answered all over the place this week. Your wish comes true, concerns fade away, a love of life. Where you're maybe proposing, the answer is yes, absolutely. Or maybe you're proposing some sort of partnership, commitment, the answer is yes. Even if you're proposing a business partnership, yes. Investments will be made wisely. Remember, you'll enter a smart partnership. From the Angel Tarot to the Feminine. Ooh, very nice. This is reconciliation. And just, you know, wonderful new opportunities and blessings that really make us feel good. They're totally emotionally fulfilling. Falling in love, or the resurgence of a relationship, spiritual growth and enhanced intuition. And again, maybe even a new home, especially with the King of Autumn or King of Earth having shown up twice. And, you know, the 3 of Autumn here and Judgment here. All of these cards of very much positivity and, like, you know, fortune coming our way, basically. The Ace of Water can be a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, just like the Page. From the Abundance deck to the Masculine. Take a divinely guided chance. So this is like the Fool. It's telling you to just take the leap. Go for it. Don't allow yourself to use this magician energy that you have here to manifest fear and lack of confidence. Okay, just go for it. All positive change and successful ventures involve a degree of risk. And you're ready to follow your divine guidance to new territories as you leave behind that which is comfortable and familiar, but no longer appropriate for you. So that has been a theme overlying for the masculine throughout the reading. When you let go of these things, you make room for new and more meaningful opportunities for yourself, masculine. Feminine. This is a good one. Block out distractions. Your life purpose and other priorities need your undivided attention. So it's time for you to take charge of your schedule and your working environment by turning off electronics and avoiding anyone or anything that distracts you from what's important. You already know what these distractions are, and you have the power to responsibly block them out. So especially, I mean, what's coming through this, and maybe because I have a client who had been doing this, who's like she's in the middle of going cold turkey right now. But she was one of these who was using electronics to spy on the divine masculine and his karmic partner. That's absolutely a distraction. So that jumped right out at me as I was reading this. If you're doing that, stop it and focus on you instead. But if your distraction is, you know, something other than whatever it is, the cards reveal that we know what the distraction is in our own life. So whatever it is, we're to cut it out. From the Isis, oh, isn't this awesome? The lunar queen here on the full moon. From the Isis oracle to the masculine, the lunar queen, she of the celestial crescent. And this card goes absolutely perfectly. Of course it does, it's from her, but it goes absolutely perfectly with the reading because it brings us full circle. The lunar queen is about feminine energy of surrender. And that feminine energy of surrender that will allow us to allow for death and rebirth, rest and replenishment, you know, an ending and a new beginning. Awesome. That's exactly what the divine masculine needs. Of course, mother knows best. And lastly, for the feminine, healing. Temple of Black Obsidian, the dark healing chamber. Black obsidian is actually one of Isis's favorites. This is a polished piece. I keep a raw piece in one of my bags, a crocodile bag. There's a raw piece of black obsidian in it. This is a polished piece. These hearts, which were cut out of volcanic rock. So they were cut in this shape. However, they were cut in this shape after naturally forming the shape. You can see the natural hearts engraved in the mineral, in the rock here. So this is black rainbow obsidian. And, you know, Isis guides the feminine to work with obsidian this week toward furthering our healing. It's a very strong stone, so you need to understand that. One way to use it, or that I have used it, is by putting it under my pillow. And at one point, the raw obsidian, I put it under my pillow. It caused me to sweat so and to really like detoxify. It was pretty amazing, actually. So if you're able to work with black obsidian and you feel like you have the strength to handle working with black obsidian, I absolutely suggest that you do take that guidance from Mother and do so. So that said, this week, we actually have a couple on the table. Isn't the queen under here? Yeah, the queen's under here. We have the king and queen of fire on the table. So we have the divine masculine and the divine feminine and the two of wands that represents them further. So this is definitely a week of abundance in the areas of both, you know, finances, the material, and love and emotion. And not only abundance, but new beginnings and reconciliations, whatever one's zodiac sign is, because the king and queen represent all the, especially when coupled with the two of wands, the two of fire, represent all the divine unions. However, there may be some extra stuff out here, extra energy out here for Leos, Sagittarians, Aries, absolutely water signs, Scorpio, definitely Scorpio with Osiris rising and, you know, the Scorpion King himself. Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. Scorpio showing up here again with Pluto. Pisces showing up here again with the Hangman. Earth signs. We've got the King here. That's the court card. So Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. And the Hermit, also a Virgo. So definitely earth signs as well. We saw the star, right? The star popped in. So there's your air, specifically Aquarius. And I think that's it in the areas of court and major arcana. So with that, I hadn't done the dice yet. I'll do that now, and then I'll get out of here and come back with love. So I'm beginning with spin money. sex. Don't spend money on sex. That's illegal. And forget it. Spirit says party. It's 50-50. And this, I think, is speaking to, again, the support systems that we went over before. Specifically, the need to support the divine masculine. So he has to take responsibility for himself and his own healing. And, you know, we can grab 50% of the load too. And also stay in bed. I hope that you guys enjoy the weekly general reading and find it helpful. Namaste, angels.